Okay, so get this. Today's deep dive is about whether you should be the first one to say, I love you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big one. It's like a universal fear, right? Putting your heart out there.
Totally. And we've got this article someone sent in, and it's intense. Like, it's almost saying that if you don't say it first, you're not really living.
Really? Hold on. So it's advocating for just putting it all out there no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much. Their whole thing is that holding back is basically living in fear. Like, you're letting the fear of rejection control your life.
Huh. I can see how that would resonate with some people,
Yeah.
especially if they've had past relationships where they played it safe and regretted it.
Exactly. This article, it's like it's speaking directly to them, you
Yeah.
know? And the way they describe love, it's intense, like an aching in your chest that never stops.
Wow. That's that's pretty dramatic. I mean, that feeling, it definitely gets at how all-consuming love can be. It does make you wonder, though, is there room for nuance in that?
Right. Because on the one hand, you don't want to live with regrets, but on the other hand, is it always worth the potential for getting completely crushed?
That's the thing, isn't it? The article kind of glosses over the whole what if they don't feel the same way part.
Yeah, it's all about authenticity, which is great, but there's a balance, right? Like, you have to protect yourself, too.
Absolutely. Healthy relationships are a two-way street. This article, it's presenting this very idealized version of love where you bare your soul and everything magically works out.
It definitely romanticizes it, like even suggesting you should say, I love you, even if you don't love me back.
Whoa. That's a lot. It's like, what happens to self-respect in that equation?
Yeah. And the other person's feelings, I mean, that could feel really intense and overwhelming if you weren't expecting it.
Totally. I think what this boils down to is it depends on the people involved. Some people might thrive in that kind of emotionally charged environment, but for others, it would feel way too intense.
So, what are we saying to the person who sent this in? Are we saying, go for it, shout your love from the rooftops? Or is there more to it?
I think the takeaway here isn't so much about saying those three little words first. It's about figuring out what you value in a relationship. Where are your boundaries? What are you willing to risk?
Right. It's like this deep dive made me realize it's less about who says it first and more about being brave enough to be honest about your feelings, but also being mindful of the other person's feelings too.
Yes. And sometimes the bravest thing is actually holding back if you know the situation isn't right,
Yeah.
even if that means risking some heartache. Because, sometimes you got to protect your own heart too.
That's a really good point. It's like knowing when to speak up and when to step back. That's the real challenge.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between vulnerability and self-preservation. And that's a lifelong journey.
Totally. So, to everyone listening, maybe the question isn't, should I say it first? Maybe it's, what does it even mean to love someone well?
Ooh, good one. No, that is a deep dive for another day.
Definitely. Food for thought.